Welcome to Talking Business, everyone. My name is Darryl Kwa. We are live across our social media platforms at Joy Prime TV on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. So we begin with taxation of mobile money. We're getting some new figures from the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications. Apparently, the country earned 250 million cedis last year from taxing mobile money, and we understand that the telecom sector's contribution to the tax revenue hit 3.6 billion cedis in 2020, making it the biggest contributing sector. More in this report from a forum held by the chamber.
According to the Ghana Telecommunications Chamber, the amount of 250 million cedis is separate from other taxes that the government collects from telecommunication firms. Head of Research, Derek Laye, therefore argues that the sector cannot be overburdened with direct taxes on mobile money services since it is already paying such huge amount to government. The chamber believes any direct tax on mobile money transactions will make it counterproductive.
Necessity. In fact, the UN calls it a human right to actually be able to be connected. So if you are taxing something that is a necessity, like something that is a luxury, obviously that calls questions, that requires policy relook at the tax structure within the ecosystem. And then more importantly, I'll just end by saying that today they're not cash cows, and then you also cannot call them MNOs or telcos in that sense. For me, they are one word, and that's the way I like to call them. They're development partners. And it's important that government begins to see them in that sense, because if you have an industry that can collect taxes from close to 400,000 people.
Speaking at the same event, manager of tax audit at auditing and accounting firm KPMG, Gordon Dade, called for a collaboration between government and the telcos to share costs for tax collection purposes. According to him, this could be part of the digital drive to increase domestic revenue.
Put a lot of digital investment. So you see our vice president going now every time talking about what government is doing with the NIA, talking about NHIS and other investment that is going in the sector. Can government partner the telcos so that there's a cost sharing arrangement? How can government partner the telcos to ensure that these investments are not just done on one side? So government is doing something, the telcos are also doing something. But can we come together and have an agreement and have a unitized process to this investment so that there's a cost sharing arrangement? And if you're also able to identify people that you can tax, then there's some sort of tax sharing that can also go on. Now, in our income tax law, or even in the VAT, there is that provision that talks about how to tax non-resident providing telecommunication services in Ghana. And now this particular provision has a very, great challenge. There's been so much challenge with the implementation.
Meanwhile, the chamber has declared its support to government in raising domestic revenue.
While still on the issue of taxes, government is being aired to do more through digital means to increase revenue mobilization and also target the informal sector. We have been speaking with Christian Soti, who is Managing Director of Strategic Mobilization Limited. Here are his thoughts.
We really have a fundamental problem, which I believe is being addressed now. Our economy, as the economists always tell us, is 80% is the informal sector and 20% formal sector. Meanwhile, the formal sector pays about 90% of the revenue, the taxes, whilst the informal sector, which is 80%, pays only less than 10% of our revenue. It means the chunk of the economy is not paying taxes. And we will need to be able to address our revenue fall and to match other economies in our revenue tax to GDP. Then we need to bring in more people into the tax net. And I believe that that is being done by addressing the issue of national identification. We are now addressing addressing system, and I believe when all these things are put in place, we will be able to now.
And our last story has to do with trade, because the Minister of Trade and Industry, Alain Chomanting, has called on the U.S. to begin negotiations on the way forward post the Africa Growth and Opportunities Act (AGWA) program, which expires in 4 years' time. He was addressing the U.S.-Ghana Business Forum in Accra.
I would say that trade and investment between our two countries have not yet reached the levels that would reflect this long-standing friendship and fraternal relations. In my view, however, we have now reached a major turning point in US-Ghana relations. And therefore, this year's forum could not have come at a better time. And I say so based on a number of strategic considerations. First, there's a new US administration in office. I'm not quite sure whether they have fully unveiled their strategy for Africa. But we all know that AGUA was the first landmark legislation in the United States on US-Africa trade and investment relations. AGUA is set to expire in 2025. And so I believe that this year's forum must provide a platform and an opportunity for us to deliberate on our future post-AGUA US-Africa relations. And I believe that knowing the length of time that it takes for legislation to be passed in the United States, one should recognize that we don't have too much time to start this process of consultation and engagement on a post-US, Africa, and Ghana within that context.
And we are told that Ghana is the third largest trading partner for the US in sub-Saharan Africa. That's Talking Business this morning. Thanks for watching, everyone. More news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. Beyond the headlines, coming up next with Benjamin. Don't go anywhere.